Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is BMT coming at you again. Definitely talking with you on this one. I hope y'all enjoyed the classical music. I needed that to rest my mind because what I just read, went over, and actually um, just just took a look at was very disturbing. I don't know what to say. Like I know I've heard of we need to. I've always heard that we need to protect black men or protect our boys. What's going on? But this is a whole nother level of I don't know what the hell y'all are truly thinking. This is at a high dangerous frequency of unaccountability, and I don't know. We got to call it that. And honestly, I don't care. I got to protect my integrity and my dignity. Uh, this is just unacceptable. And shout out to Attorney Michelle. She's joining me at the forefront for this one. For everyone who's coming on in, please like, share, and put in the comments on what you feel. But this is definitely something. Yes, you heard the title. So we are GoFunding school shooters now. Timothy Simpkins goalpost. This is the Timothy Simpkins goalpost, and this is very very scary because if if we can't hold this if we can't hold this young man accountable, this 18-year-old accountable, I don't know what to tell you. This is very dangerous. This is a very dangerous game that we are playing now with people's lives, with on accountability, with mental health. What we're sending a message out towards other people in the world that hey, um, this is our future that we're really banking on, and the fact that people are go funding a school shooter. Is it fair? Is that fair to call him that, Michelle?
Yes, and he's already out. They've set a $75,000 bond on yesterday, and his GoFundMe account has already paid the 11%, was about $8,000 for him to get out of jail.
And so I'm gonna give it to you. I'm gonna go run and get my charger real quick. Go ahead, Michelle. You take it.
I mean, when it comes to personal responsibility, you are responsible for your actions, regardless of what someone else did. This was not a case in which a young boy had been bullied and he shot the bully. No, instead, he shot wildly in a crowd, missed the guy, and shot three innocent people. Those three innocent people deserve justice. That at the end of the day, the school teacher that came to try to assist the young man, he got shot. He's trying to stop him from getting a further ass beaten, and he gets shot. One of the girls is an eyewitness. She got shot. A 15-year-old boy got shot. Now I understand y'all feeling sorry for this young boy who got bullied, whose mama says that he was having flashbacks of his father being beaten to death, so he really did fear for his life. Okay, fine. I understand that. But as a mother, I had three daughters. My kids were too tough to get bullied, but one of their friends got bullied. She was light-skinned, Creole, and some people didn't like her. One guy in particular had a crush on her and didn't like the way his advances were shunned. So this young lady didn't want to be bothered with a young man and his sexual advances, so he picked her up and body slammed her. My daughter covered her with her body to keep the young girl from being hurt anymore. When I got the call at the school and met with the African-American male, the black principal, who was urging the mother not to press criminal charges because we don't need another black man to go down. I looked at the mother and said, please, let me handle the conversation. You take your daughter to the emergency room. Once the daughter got to the emergency room, we found out she had a fractured skull. The black male principal, the black male principal, still wanted to protect the young black man whose feelings got hurt, and he tried to basically kill a black female for rejecting his advances. I took my kids out of that school because I was not the one. That if one of my daughters, it was bad enough that one of my daughters had been kicked trying to defend her friend who lay unconscious on the ground. And I highly, highly recommended everyone else take their kids out because once you get to the point of that type of favoritism, equal protection, unaccountability, if a young man can get away with kicking a female or body slamming a female because his advances were rejected, I felt my duty as a mother was to get my child out of harm's way. It's nothing to take your kid out of a school where you think they are in harm's way. And then to say you knew that your son was suffering from PTSD over his father's death, that his father had been beaten to death. Honey, I'd have my kid in taekwondo, jujitsu, bunkaki, wee, anything I could think of so that he could learn to protect himself and would not walk in the same footsteps as his father. So let's stop this whole, what if it was your child? So what if it was your child going to school and gets shot because some kid was having a bad day? We call that going postal. We've never condoned that. You're having a bad day. I know plenty of black men, plenty of black women that have a bad day, and I'm not going to condone you. Oh, the white man was picking on me, so I decided to start shooting people. No, nope. We got to protect the innocent, the truly innocent. Now his state of mind may be a mitigating factor, but he still brought a gun to school and shot people that had nothing to do with him being bullied.
So let's get at this because I'm not going to be at. I got to just show you all this stuff real quick. And I'm not going to be on this all day long. We will be doing a third part to the family dynamic of the Timothy Simpkins story. Yes, we will break down every aspect, me and Michelle. But let's go ahead and make sure that we do this to our due diligence about this stuff. And we want to show you, because like I said, I haven't read everything. So everything I click on or I go over that Michelle had brought to me, literally, this is straight from the horse's mouth. Larry Reed, shout out to him. You can always tune in and hit him up. But Larry Reed, 18, turned himself into the police on Wednesday after the shooting. Police alleged he opened fire in the second story classroom and injured 4 people. This was after a fight. The family school shooting suspect said he was bullied, robbed, and trying to protect himself. I don't care what he went through as much as I care about how a gun got in school again to be used on innocent people. Now, I'm told you, and I told you this yesterday in the show, watch them turn this and flip this of unaccountability on the school's fault. Of course, it's always easy to blame a system rather than the person that, mind you, I have a firearm. My firearm can't do nothing. And I want to see, this is the thing about it I always worry about when it comes to GoFundMe. Because when it comes to these GoFundMes, right? They always put out these innocent pictures. This is why I hate GoFundMe. Does that look like the same person, or is that drastically changing the imagery of the person? I'm gonna be honest, because I hate when y'all do these GoFundMes. It's like grab the most, useful, nice looking, happy go Tommy, Timmy, Mary, Susan. Go get that picture. No, I want to see you when you were doing your dirt, when you was on serial killer mode. So that was you. Okay? So let's look at, so my thing is, regardless of the type of weapon, Timothy used, there were weapons that were fired at him first. What the hell? Michelle, you see that?
Yes. They're sitting up there they're sitting up there saying that because somebody laid their hands on him, he was perfectly justifiable in getting a shotgun.
So hold on. So let's keep
a gun.
So hang on, listen. There are weapons. It's called the weapons of words. We don't know how long this child had been bullied. Now he's a child now. Again, I don't get. Listen, man. When you're 18 and you're 18, you join the military. You're no longer a kid. It amazes me the age for voting. Uh, we're looking at he stopped being a kid the minute he grabbed a gun. Can we just acknowledge that you stopped being a child the minute you go get a gun? I mean, it's not like he was fighting for a small village. The child had been bullied and all that he endured, but as others have stated, all in. Oh God, I'm not. Oh Jesus Christ, I'm not reading all that shit.
I tell you, people have lost their darn minds. They are so internalizing. Well, if I was bullied, I would have done that. No, no, we got to stop that message.
This
Stop it.
this is getting dark. His family is on TV making a statement about what happened. They say they're not excusing what he did. When you step after he shot several people and talk about bullying, if you didn't do everything possible before it came, to his parents need to get involved before the fact. I'll give you that, Geraldine. Tell your parents, please, when someone bullies you, to do this alone. You don't care about what he went through, what maybe he didn't hear at all. I'm in Texas. Everyone needs to be held responsible in this situation. So somehow it coming out to the school, we have it where, well, I care what he went through. It doesn't justify what he did, but it brings to light that he went through. Parents need to talk to their kids. Larry Reed live and that statement that why he brought the gun to school. Um, this school felt that exactly like you feel. They didn't care what he was going through either. Um, you're gonna get your as y'all start reading through, and I'm not going to read every goddamn message. He was bullied. Now bullies should be arrested. Bullying is such an issue in school, and these teachers go through training after training concerning bullying. Why does it seem like nothing ever happens until people take matters into their own hands? I'm gonna tell you right now. Listen, y'all. When y'all start running defense lines for school shooters, were y'all doing this for people who did Columbine? You remember the Virginia Tech incident? Well, so are we running interference for these type of things now? Sandy Hook. I don't want to hear. Listen, man, this is pretty sick and fucked up because you're now saying it's the school's fault rather than hold the individual accountable for doing what he did. That's what's really dark.
I mean, they have no empathy whatsoever to the three people that got shot. I mean, my empathy was to all those parents. You're a parent at a school, and you hear on the news that at least two students have been shot. Do you imagine how many calls I was getting about Michelle? I have do they how did I get the names of the kids that were shot? Where are the kids at that got shot? I can't get in touch with my kid. That was the sheer terror I heard. That is the sheer terror I heard. I know when my kids were in public school, they had a gun at school one day, and my heart was in my chest until I could actually talk to my kids and find out they were nowhere near the gun. They didn't see anybody get shot. My heart went out to my to the parents.
You know, listen. When I was in Florida, one time it was at the end of school. I remember we had got notified after the incident that there had been a young child that brought a knife to school. That was two classrooms down from my kid. But they were saying, "Oh no, y'all kids can finish out school." No, there's a knife in the school. My kid's coming out. I get it. It happened, but that's a very bad, very dangerous issue. And listen, man, I'm not we're not sugarcoating and condoning what he did, but he wasn't the first kid to ever be bullied in life, and he won't be the last. I'm not going to call him a kid. He's 18 years old. He can drive a car. He can do all kinds of things. He can even get a job. He could have gone and take up classes of self-defense.
And Joe, don't forget this little thing. You're an 18-year-old man, and you're claiming that you got robbed and your car got the window smashed out of it. Well, that's called 911.
Right.
You are a grown man now. You call the police. You're not waiting for mama to come up to the school. You are sitting up there handling it yourself. At some point in time, we got to teach these young men responsibility.
This is why, and I agree with you on that one, Michelle. And I don't want some people think, well, you're just tagging up on a poor, he's not a victim. You lose your victim card when you start terrorizing people. He wasn't bullied. Video of him fighting and being the aggressor. No, he was the guy that got beat up. But what I'm saying is this: he definitely pulled that trigger. I mean, like I said, you didn't even shoot the people that did you wrong, and this is very disheartening that a lot of people are going to bat for him. Now, let's go look at some more stuff, and thank you, K2, for that information. Because a lot of people are saying, and mind you, his mom is up on there, and his grandma is saying that they told the school, when is fighting enough for your child enough? Is there a certain limit, Michelle, that we have for fighting for our kids? Or do we say, well, I told them, now it's up to the school? No, you keep on fighting.
Nope.
You keep
like I said, I took my 3 daughters out of school, not because they were being bullied, because one of their friends had been attacked. And I just knew my child's safety was the most important thing to me. And also, I didn't want to go to jail. I'd have to pay for that. And so I'm sitting up there thinking about the parents. The parents of the 15-year-old boy who's sitting up there. His son is still in the hospital. There's no GoFundMe account for him, but there's a GoFundMe account to get his attacker out of jail. People are wanting his attacker. He had nothing to do with the bullying. He's 15. And you're sitting up there saying, no, I don't think this young man should go to jail because if the school had done this, if the school had done that, it's all the school's fault. Bear in mind, based on that video we saw, there's enough evidence to charge the young man who beat him to the pulp with at least assault. I mean, justice is not a one-legged freak. Justice can go both ways. So yes, you can want justice for the young man for getting his behind beat, but the young man should also be held accountable for shooting 3 innocent people. And the sad part is, at his young age, with his mindset, he's about to be in prison with grown-ass men who are going to bully him. The guards are bullying him. They're going to bully him because the way they look at it, he was a young man that did not know how to control his temper.
Listen, and let's see, y'all. So let's read the words of Tim's mother and grandmother. If the photo you see on your screen, let me make sure I pull up a photo. Do we want to use this photo?
No, the other one. They want you to see the young, innocent photo in red.
Okay, let's see. There we go. You want me to put some nice music in there for that? Do I need to put music in there for that?
Hey, you hear the violins in the background.
Okay, hang on. Let me hang on. I got it. I want to set up the ambiance of for them, so that way Um, because we want to make sure I don't destroy his character. I want to make sure
We're
I
not
don't.
saying we're not saying anything about the boy. I'm not disputing he was a good student. I'm not disputing anything other than the fact that we need to show more sympathy for him because of what the school failed to do than we do to the victim. The school failed those victims too. Those three victims, yes, the school could have had metal detectors.
More. More people got shot. We're not going to take it for now. Even though that they didn't want to go to the hospital, they still got shot. So let me go ahead and make sure we do it correctly, so that way nobody feels like we've done not selling Tommy or Timothy. So let me make sure I put on some good gospel music because we got to make sure. There we go. We got the gospel music going. Okay, so let me make sure I put it right because we want the ambiance of why he got shot. Let's pray that this touches some of y'all hearts, even though he shot a few people. Michelle, you want to read it with your motherly, nurturing voice?
No, honey, I can't see all that. I'm too old.
I'll read it as a father. It's a photo you see on your screen right now, where the first image you saw of my son. What type of child would you say that he was? Would you be able to believe that he was a polite and kind young man who came from a two-parent home? Would you believe that he was a brilliant young man who is a straight A student who until just recently attended private school and who has impressive GPA? Would you believe that he was dreams of attending college and becoming an engineer? The irony that all of these things are true. Timothy Simpkins. But I only took the media one day in one questionable photograph to convince the country that my son was a menace to our society. And nothing could be further from the truth. Timothy has always been a kind and thoughtful child. He loves to learn because he spends so much time focusing on his studies. Most of his relatives call him the little nerd of the family.
Coming from his family. Oh, isn't that nice?
Michelle, please have a heart. Your mother of the family. He has never been known to bother anyone and would do anything to help someone in need. From the beginning of the school year, Timothy has been bullied at school. He has been beaten, taunted, harassed on a daily basis. Recently, he was ambushed by a group of young males outside of school, stripped of his clothing in front of a crowd of onlookers, and robbed of his money and possessions. He has been humiliated and stripped of his dignity on more than one occasion, which led to him being fearful to go to school or even leave our home without an adult. All of these occurrences were brought to the attention of Arlington school system, and absolutely nothing was done to protect my son. He became depressed, and some days did not even want to get out of bed. I am certain that he was fearful of his safety and felt that he had no support from those in authority whose responsibility is and was to protect him. Today, I am appealing to you as a mother who knows her son, not the picture that the media has painted of him, but the child I and his grandparents raised him to be. After his father's death, many of you have seen the video of the brutal beating Timothy received. So that lets y'all know Timothy was the one getting beat up. Okay. He never returned a blow. He simply balled up and covered his head. But the backstory that you don't know is that his father was brutally beaten to death. And this fact definitely heightened Timothy's fear for his life. Not to mention that the young men responsible for beating and harassing him recently made threats to kill him. So you see, my son was terrified and believed he would have to be murdered, just like his father. I believe my son's entire story should be heard, and I'm asking that you help me share it in an effort to balance the one-sided narrative that the media is broadcasting. Please know that I am not suggesting that taking a gun to school was the right choice to make. I am just saying that so much more to this story, and all the details should be known so that my son can be properly defended. We need your help to raise money for his defense. Any amount of money will be appreciated. Please donate what you can. Help me fight for my son's future and maybe one day yours. I added that. Cash app until further notice. So make sure you cash app Justice for Timothy. We love you, Timothy. We love you. Nichelle, say you love him too. Nichelle! God dang it. Here we're doing a whole gospel
stage. Here I am.
Just say you love him too.
We love you, you little nerdy guy that all the family calls a nerd. That I didn't stop the family from calling you a nerd because, hey, I was a very involved mother. Come on now. I wish. Now, I have a daughter that has an SAT score of 1480 and that got a full academic scholarship because she had a 4 point GPA. She's sitting up there at a very prestigious private school right now. And I dare somebody to call my child a nerd while your child is sitting up there with his cool ass flipping burgers or working at where's everybody trying to send their kids to work? What's that warehouse?
Amazon.
Where everybody Amazon. My kid got a job at Amazon. That's good.
Now,
I'm glad your kid wasn't a nerd.
Now listen, Michelle. I feel this mother's pain. Thank you, Bunker. I'm going to donate to him too. My kids are 1,000 miles away from that skid mark. Let the little, oh God, shut up, Bunker. Thank you, Bunker.
I mean, when do we start standing up for the victims? I'm not talking about victims of the white man, not victims of the white man. I'm not talking about victims of the police. I'm talking about the victims of our own children.
Y'all do know. I just want y'all to know, for all these geniuses out there, y'all listen. I want y'all to understand this. I want people to understand this. No, you're good, Bunker. I love you, bro. I want y'all to understand this. This guy wasn't shooting at oppression. He was shooting at black people. He was shooting at black people and minorities. So he didn't even shoot at the bully. He shot at everything else but the bully.
In Texas, this is from Texas, you guys. Mansfield, Arlington is right outside of Dallas, Texas.
So, you guys, if we're trying to build better men, this is not the way. This is not the way, man. If we're trying to have a healthy society, this damn sure is not the way, man. Like, there's so much unaccountability down this line. I don't know where. I would be better off taking sandpaper and wiping my ass with it. Because honestly, this is just you don't care what he went through. What? Maybe you didn't hear it all. I'm in Texas. Everyone needs to be held responsible. Like, listen, first of all, and this is where I'm pushing at some of the stuff. If this boy was beat and stripped butt naked in front of a bunch of people, that is liable for sexual assault. Let me know if I'm wrong when I'm saying the show. That is sexual assault. That literally, if you're saying multiple people attacked him, do y'all know that's called a lynching? the police would have been involved. Those people would have been in jail. See, I'm starting to call a little bit of BS on some stuff. I'm sorry, but bullying is taken very seriously.
And it goes beyond bullying when you start putting your hands on someone and literally stripping them, taking their clothes. I mean, understand the difference between bullying. The reason Texas has an anti-bullying statute is because people were literally going on social media telling people they ought to kill themselves. They weren't putting their hands on them. Now, we all understand an assault is making someone feel afraid. A battery is when you put your hands on them. Assault and battery. You touched me, you have now battered me. And at the end of the day, we got to look at the young man. It's like, did somebody put his hands on you? And your reaction was to go home and tell your mother, not dial 911, but maybe you're afraid of the police. Maybe we have created such an incident, a feeling in our community that the police will never be our friend. But if someone is robbing you, who else are you going to call? Your mama's not going to go back and get your stuff. Your grandfather's not going to go get your stuff. That I just cannot get with a mother coming out saying, I'm sorry for the victim. She didn't say, I'm sorry for the victims involved. I'm sorry my son did this to you.
Now I get some people saying, why are you hard on Timothy and not on the bully? Listen, Timothy, you had the power. If you touch somebody's child, literally you literally can go call the police. Hell, kids can call the police on their own parents for hitting them with a belt. Am I making this shit up?
Nope.
Now that's a child in somebody's home can call the police. So you mean to tell me a guy that has a car, money, and all this stuff, you can't call the police? And literally, see, this is where you're I get what y'all trying to say. Well, he had to use the gun. No, you didn't. And you mean to tell me your child was stripped naked in front of other people, and nobody was willing to file a report? See, now I'm really questioning how all these people are watching. But see, I get it. Y'all saying, well, you're hard on him, but you're not on. No, listen. Nobody was trying to go fund me that Asian kid at Virginia Tech. Let me know if I'm wrong about that, Doug. But I don't think anybody was trying to get to any. This is the first time I've ever seen somebody ask for empathy for a school shooter like this.
Right. And you got to sit up there. You got to sit up there. You got to sit up there and think. I don't understand you people that are put yourself in his shoes. I'm trying to put myself the child that went to school at 15. I'm trying to put myself in the school shoes. I went to school, education, and wound up in the hospital fighting for his life. I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of the school teacher who went rushing into a classroom to stop a fight and protect this boy who wound up getting shot. I mean, there's a bunch of shoes you can put your feet in that don't come down to you looking like an idiot, because everybody goes through some crap. People get bullied at the work. You're always going to have that supervisor, that boss that gets on your nerves. Hell, even if you have your own business, you're going to have that client that gets on your nerves. So no, you can't just take a gun because.
But see, here's the thing about it in the show. This is why, and I was going to do a talk about this, about how many Timothy Simpkins are there out there in these homes. How many Timothy Simpkins are out there that literally have these type of problems, but they're not being called out? Like, if you were being beat up, I listen, man. Like, if you was having these mental health issues, your grandparents and your grandma could have took you to church, could have got you some help. Like you're not the first black young man, 18-year-old at that has not had it hard, man. Or I'm pretty sure, like you have a situation. Yeah, I get it. You had your situation, and I'm not covering for nobody. But this is a very disturbing situation that this kid, that this 18-year-old, literally had no problem shooting up. I don't see them doing GoFundMe for the
For the victim.
for the victims. See, that's why I have a problem with. The people that didn't wrong him, why aren't y'all doing the GoFundMe for them? Y'all giving the pass to the guy that one y'all weren't talking about, and we had people in the chat that were from school. Did we not in the show yesterday?
Yep.
How many?
Yep.
This kid was running around throwing up gang signs. See, y'all don't see. I get it. You don't like to tell what really went on. First of all, if he was that innocent of little nerd, why is he driving around with a gun in his car? I'm calling out what I see it. Why are you can't be that much of a. First of all, how did you get a handgun? How'd you get the handgun?
Basically.
So
I mean, you've got, like I explained yesterday, there is a hood near his house. They live in a very affluent neighborhood.
I'm not going to blame the hood on this one. I'm sorry. It's easy, Michelle, for us to throw the boomerang, throw the water bottle at the hood and say it's your problem. No, this young man had a family support system. He had a grandma, a grandpa, so he had a man in the home. He may not have a dad, but he had a man in the home. So y'all could kiss my ass and say he didn't have a father, but he had a grandfather. That's just as good as a dad. Just like some people they don't have a dad, they have their uncle, they have their older brother, they have some type of man.
He had older cousins. His father was brutally killed. But again, it gets down to, if you've had that type of trauma in your life, no details on why the father got beat to death. I don't know too many people that got beat to death, but it does happen. Beaten to death, not mugged. They didn't use those terms. They said his father was beaten to death. So forgive me for my mind wondering about how a man got beat to death, within the last, 18 years. But again, I digress.
Now, I'm only asking this, but see, hit the show, but why? And this is what I'm worried about, and I want to throw this at you. If we can't hold this type of man accountable, who can we hold accountable?
Exactly. We've got to set some limits. At the end of the day, you remember when the young man got shot trying to break into a guy's house, and they're sitting up there going, he was just trying to get some money for school, but the homeboy didn't have to shoot him. He could have let the money go. It happened to my little cousin. I was sitting up there telling his mom. She didn't work her behind off. Her and her husband had worked their house behinds off. Both of them working damn 16 hours a day to move into a $250,000 house. This little shit. He didn't want to go to college. He didn't want to get in the military. So he decided to hustle. And he decided to give this guy a ride to a bootleg gambling place. The guy calls him up and says, yo, man, I just lost all my money to this dude. Could you come up here and make sure he don't leave this place with my money? This fool comes up there and tries to rob the guy. And the guy had a gun. And the guy shot him. And my little stupid ass cousin killed the man and told his mama it was self-defense. No, little monkey, it don't work like that. You can't sit up there and say, when you went to rob somebody, they were wrong to shoot you first. That's why you shot and killed them, because they shot you. It don't work like that in this society. Self-defense is you in the right, the other person's in the wrong, so you use self-defense. We all sat up there and looked at that white man who got into a fight with the young lady about a parking space, and her husband came out, a boyfriend came out to defend her, and the man said he was scared and he shot the man. We didn't buy that story. We said, "No, dude, you started the fight. Then when you saw a big man come out to defend his woman, you got scared and you shot him. You started it. That ain't self-defense." We were quick to see it in those terms. But understand, this young boy was not. This was not self-defense. Shooting 3 innocent people.
I got a question. So let me try this one. If that was self-defense, and I gotta admit, I don't change up for nothing. Was it self-defense when this person was doing what they were doing? Y'all remember that? Y'all remember this person right here? This person was getting jumped. They came back out with a knife. There literally is a phone call from their younger sister. I'm not trying to make it say, well, BMT, you for the women. No, I'm only showcasing. She came back with the knife. It was go time. This guy right here had enough time to leave out of a 2-story building to go to his car to get a gun and go start playing Call of Duty. It's easy to say, well, he's a boy all of a sudden. No, you made a man decision at that time. You made a man decision at that time. You wasn't fear. You were not in fear of your life when you went and grabbed some of these. It's kind of hard. See, if I was to attack Michelle and she fall on her back and she reaches in her purse and pull out her gun, hell, she just shoots through her purse and hits me, that's fear of your life. But if it's after an incident and you have time to go walk around, call the police, and you choose to go get a gun, you couldn't even say it's a crime of passion because you didn't even go after the person. Usually you would have see, that's what I'm saying for people who ever really had pulled that steel, you would have tunnel vision on the one person you're going after. It's like you ever had that in the show? Somebody did you wrong, you ain't thinking about nobody else but that one person.
Yep.
But you mean to tell me everybody could get the smoke? But now, y'all gonna say, well, BMT, you painting him a narrative. No, I'm telling you what the students and the people from the school who were in my chat yesterday, if you was reading the chat, they were like, fuck this guy. This guy was just shooting at random people. So I can promise you, they're not buying the woe is me story. Because I was there. I grew up. Listen, I came from the 80s, the 90s, in the early thousands. I knew what it was like to be called all kind of names, to be picked on, to be talked about your mama and all kinds of stuff. But never did I ever think I needed to go pull that steel. I never thought that, hey, I needed to go get back at everybody else. And for a family that say that they support him, hey, bro, then y'all need to go stand around him and say you need to man up on what you did. Now, I'm not going to give him I'm not giving him no pass, man. But y'all be saying y'all want better men, especially better black men. But if y'all can't hold this man accountable for what the shit he just did, then yo, don't ever talk to me about we need better black men. Because if y'all can't hold that kid, that man, I'm calling him 18-year-old, that man, that young man. But y'all like to talk about when women hit the wall, but y'all can't hold that young man accountable. Don't ever talk about it.
Okay, somebody's still going to try to press back and say, this boy has had trouble for a while. He didn't just wake up and go to school with a pistol. So let me ask you this. While you bringing in your ghetto logic, did he have a pistol on him the day before when he got stripped? Because if he didn't just wake up the day before and decide to take the gun with him, then maybe we could be talking about self-defense.
I
Because
would
it
get
looked like he got stripped the day before and robbed the day before. And then after that happened, he decided to launch a plan so that he took a gun to school the next day when he woke up to get revenge on those that had harmed him, but he didn't man up right. And instead, he wound up shooting 3 innocent people,
for
putting 3 innocent people in the hospital. They got the medical bills. They're going to have the recovery time. They got the pain and suffering. But we want to feel sorry for this boy who's been going through some stuff. What had the 15-year-old been going through? What had the 15-year-old been going through before he wound up shot at school? What has the teacher been going through before he wound up being shot at school? This man then sat up there, kept his nose clean, stayed out of jail, finished college, got his teaching certificate, and he goes to work one day and he gets shot because somebody having a bad day. No, we ain't going out like that.
the thing about it is this. And peace to anybody you're welcome to come up and we're here to have the conversation. Why I do have time, but them students and them people from that area that were in my chat yesterday, oh, they weren't sympathetic to him, were they, Michelle? They weren't sympathetic at all. They were like, yeah, it's fucked up. He got beat up, but that didn't give him a right to shoot at other people. Like, uh, understand this. If you're his mother and you knew, listen, my child, and I would even ask Renaissance Man who's on the panel, and you knew your child had got stripped like that, naked, or humiliated like that, would you send your child to school alone, or would you like, yo, until something changes, then my kid's not going to school?
Well, I mean, BMT, I guess he was such a straight A student that the idea of skipping school the next day never entered his mind. He, because black men are known to never cut class or cut school or anything.
Right.
No. See, here's the thing about it. See, y'all, I knew y'all gonna run to the white boy or a white man, and we never taken up, never one time for any school. Have you ever heard me take up for any school shooters?
No, absolutely not.
So why would I take up differently now if it's a black person? It's not like he's dead. He's not dead.
Joe, let me answer that question. Yes, it would be different if he were white, because black people would not be saying, give him a pass. Yes, it would be different, because you wouldn't be like, oh, that poor white boy was being bullied and he came to school and he shot up innocent people. You wouldn't be doing that. You would not be doing it, especially if you found out one of the people that got shot was a black teacher, a black male teacher. You wouldn't be sitting up there going, oh, the poor boy. No.
I mean, are we giving that? And that's what it's saying. Like, are we giving a pass, even though it's not like he went on some crusade for pro-black, or black people, or I'm saving black humanity. This dude was just shooting randomly at people. And then
I didn't give George Zimmerman a pass for taking out a gun because he was getting his ass whooped. I didn't give him a pass either.
So granted, so I want you to understand the teacher that was in that classroom was pregnant. If he had struck that woman anywhere close to her belly, now you saw the picture of her standing there in the video. If he had struck her and killed that child, would y'all still have that
murder
energy? Would y'all still have that same energy for him? If he had shot anywhere close to that pregnant woman in that classroom that literally was screaming, stop.
But here's my thing, BMT. How do people really think we're going to have like decent schools? Like, if you're a teacher, like Nichelle just said, and you've done all those things, you show up just trying to do your job, make your contribution to the community, go home, and you got to deal with people showing up, shooting other students, and then parents or people who want to justify it. You couldn't pay me enough.
Telling you now, nope, you couldn't.
Like y'all gotta understand, man. Like I don't, and like I said, respect to you, brother X. How you doing? Respect to all of y'all. Listen, I'm literally. This is why I'm doing the topic, but I want. Listen, when I offer my solutions. Michelle gave her solution. You know, at some point, listen, I get it. We want to say the school system failed failed our kid.
But
But
the other thing that quickly popped in my mind too, BMT, they're painting it like this kid is a loner. Like he doesn't like who's get like he doesn't appear to be the kind of kid that's just like has no friends. Like why I'm being
this
bullied.
kid's not alone. He got friends.
Like that's what I mean. It's like that's usually who gets picked on is someone who doesn't have many friends to back them up because most bullies don't want a fair fight, whereas is semi equal.
So one of the things about it, and y'all, I get it. That's her child, so she's supposed to run some type of thing. I'm not.
No, no. I just remembered something she said in her letter. She said just until recently he had been in private school. So for all of you who said, why should she have to take her son out of the public school that she apparently had just enrolled him in? Oh, public school ain't working out. My twin daughter would tell you, you tried public school, didn't work for me. I had one day where I was worried about my child being out of school where there was a gun. The next day, I had videos of her crying as she was pulled out of that school. I wasn't gonna play it.
Y'all gotta understand, like, I'm challenging because the thing about it is, and then I'm not even trying to just, I'm keeping it fair down the board. When the issue happened down there in Florida, I went just as hard on that guy. And I said, man, no black kid would have made it out of that type of incident. Well, you know what? BMT was wrong. It seemed like a black kid did make it out. And a black kid did have enough time to go home and come back and turn himself in with a goddamn legal attorney. They didn't shoot him. They didn't have a whole shootout.
No, you're right about BMT. You're right about that. Because I saw that story broke, and I saw he was on the run. I was like, oh, he's done. I was like,
everybody had it in their mind that this kid is going to join the ancestors in Wakanda. This kid beat the odds and is now out on bail. Yo, I don't know.
$75,000 bail.
That you can't get a better. You can't.
Wait, Nichelle, how is that flying in Texas? I would that low of a bail for someone who did that in Texas?
Pretty low bail for shooting rounds. Was it 4 to 6 rounds in a? You know how much trouble you get in for having a gun by a school? And the fact that
they must
Texas
be
has.
they must be in a very liberal district where
No,
the judge is not worried about it.
No.
I don't know what y'all going to Texas, but y'all going to
Wait a minute. Let me tell you what happened. Texas judges found out that they could be personally sued and they'd have to come out of their own pocket if they set a bail too high. So they have been very, very cautious in setting bail amounts. Because it used to be back in the day, you got arrested, they looked and said, okay, you're being charged with assault. Okay, that's a $10,000 bond. In discussion, you go on about your way. You're able to post bond that night. Now you have to wait until you appear before the judge in the morning. So these people were working all night to get that $8,000 together so they could bond him out as soon as the judge said this is the amount of his bond. Because let's be honest, if you worried about your son being bullied and you got them in jail with grown-ass men, these are grown-ass men that he was in jail with. So yeah, I understood the urgency of getting him out. And I understand the judge's empathy for putting an 18-year-old in a jail with men that are typically, 28 to 40 years old. There's some big mofos in Texas.
I want to say this, y'all, and listen. Me Michelle, are being increasingly balanced because I'm being fair, and I just want y'all to understand that. And it's not easy walking this line. Had that been one of y'all kids in that school, I would be going hard for y'all because literally that guy made a choice. He made a choice. Had that bullet had struck your child in the eye, or let's say your kid had a chance to go get a scholarship for track, or maybe they got shot in their spleen, and now their liver or the kidney don't work, so now they got to go carry a dialysis machine around, so they can't have a healthy life. And see y'all would be sitting there stewing in y'all chair because you like, yo, this is some mad world because this kid is getting empathy for doing something that my kid did nothing wrong.
I mean, understand you can't look at this as in a vacuum. When I have a good friend, I just talked to her that morning. Her sister was a teacher at that school. And when it first hit that a teacher had been shot, she is frantic because she can't, they had the cell phone blockers on at the school and she couldn't get in touch with her own sister. So the number of people that this young man actually hurt yesterday is astronomical. There were 1,700 students at that school, a corresponding amount of parents, grandparents, friends, relatives, loved ones that are out of their minds with fear, wondering if it's somebody they know and love that has been shot, struggling for their life.
Now let's make sure we show. Okay, so he had support team, which got a whole family unit. I know. Well, if the dad was alive, well, you got a granddad. So keyword, that's still a dad. Accused Timberwolf High School family shooter Timothy Simpkins' family spoke to Fox 4 today. The decision he made taking a gun, the decision he made taking the gun, we are not justifying that. So the decision he made, make sure I get that. The decision he made taking the gun, we are not justifying that. You can't justify that. You can never justify that. That was not right. But he was trying to protect himself. You know, maybe I need to do a goddamn gun safety class because it's not protecting yourself if you're going after people with your gun.
Wait, BMT. The other thing is, the other thing is too. The school. I wouldn't be surprised. The parents whose kids got harmed, I'm sure they're going to sue the school because how did he get a gun into the school?
Yo, I swear, dude, if that kid wins his case, I hope every child that literally goes to trauma gets to sue his family for everything and sue the school and the state for allowing this. Now, I'm telling y'all, okay, y'all, listen. I'm going to tell y'all why this case cannot win. Because if this wins, it's going to be damn hard to go after any other young 18-year-old and down that does this stupid mistake. Because you know what they're going to do? Let me show you how law works. You're going to get an attorney like Michelle, and they're going to look up, and everything goes into the law books. And they're going to pull up the Timothy Simpkins case. When they pull up and say, hey, my kid matches those things that he went through. How can y'all deny my client if y'all didn't deny him? Michelle, am I wrong what I'm saying?
You're
not how it plays out? I think she probably.
You're very right. I wish Traylor would come on up here because Traylor has talked about how he grew up in a black neighborhood. I've had countless friends talk about how they went to school when they first started trying to desegregate the schools. I'm not going to call it integrate. I'm going to call it desegregate. They forced kids from different parts of town together. There was a lot of bullying going on both ways. I knew growing up, white boys better not try to fight a black guy. That was just unheard of. There was like a fear of you didn't mess with the black guys. Did you see what they do to each other when they fight? We're not going to fight the black guys or the black girls. So there was a lot of bullying going on. I'm not going to lie. I was a smart kid. I got bullied a lot. Every year, I'd have to do my annual fight to teach everybody else a lesson. You want to come for me? Go right ahead. It's what you're going to get. Then I went home and got my ass whooped. It was real simple. It was worth it.
The only thing I'm saying is, listen, y'all listen, society, whoever's watching, you can't keep on blaming the school system. The school system, it's like we're using the school system to substitute like logical parenting and how family is supposed to work. Listen, if your child is being bullied, that's your job to run into the defense. It's your job as a taxpayer to run up in there and squall it. I can prompt. Listen, man, I get it. It's bad, but
And the loss of the idea community is real too, because I grew up in the hood. I grew up in a neighborhood. Everyone knew who lived down the street from them. There was no pride in saying, I don't fuck with my neighbor. No, you did. That was part of being a neighborhood. If any of my neighbors saw my mother, it was back in the day when they had the phone book. That's the little girl that lives, at 5921, wherever. They'd find my mother's name, call my mother up. I saw your child doing this. That there was no way in heck. When I went to school, my mother knew all the parents. They actually published a phone book so that other parents could get in touch with each other. But now we become a society of, oh, I don't want the other parents to get in touch with me. Why are they trying to get in touch with me? If I want to talk to them, I'll give them my number. I don't want the school giving. Joe, back in the day, if you got in a fight with somebody, what would your parents do?
Listen, I would have got in trouble.
But wouldn't he try to talk to the other parents?
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, it was nothing for my mom or my father or whatever parent I had at the time to literally say, I want to meet the other parent. And they would bring all 4, 5, 6, I've seen even 7 of us. Hell, I remember when a group of boys got to a fight. It had the coach, the men, and some of the women, and all 9 boys in that auditorium. And guess what? We all had to meet. And literally they said, y'all cannot come back to school until we talk to all of y'all parents. Mind you, that was literally the principle. Y'all cannot come back to school until we talk to all of y'all parents at the same time. So guess what? They all had to meet. And we were all there at doggone 7 o'clock at night in that auditorium. We was all there. But guess what? The parents had to be on board, and the young adolescents that were fighting. And guess what? Well, I got my butt whooped. I did. I own my lickings. I earned my whoopings. But I never thought, never not one time. The worst I probably ever say we've ever done was go to somebody else's bus stop. See? Guess who's calling me right now? Who's just calling me? Who's that calling me? What's that calling me right there in the show?
I can't see.
That is the public school calling my phone. Okay? See, when y'all say that school, let me see. Hello?
Good evening. This is Brenda Fleming, principal of St. Stephen Middle School. Buses will be delayed in picking up students from the school on Thursday and Friday afternoon.
Now, I want y'all to understand that. Do y'all not understand that schools these days literally request for the parent's phone number so that way they can literally keep you up to par what's going on in your kid's school? They'll call you all the time, all throughout the day, all throughout the night. So what's your excuse now? They have automated phone calls. I know about PTA meetings. I know about buses. My kid walks. He don't ride the bus. I also pick up my kid as well as other kids that we convey with their parents. But I don't.
It comes down to if you believe your child is being bullied, understand that just going up there talking to the principal that don't know exactly who, what, why, and where the bullying is going on. Is it going on in class? Hey, be involved with your kid enough to know, okay, mom, I'm being bullied in this class. I'm being bullied at lunch. Who's in charge at lunchtime? I'd be showing up to see what was going on. Sometimes we get so caught up in getting money to get our nails done, money to get our iPhones, money to get our eyelashes done, money to get a big screen TV, that we don't want to take off from work for an hour to go check on our kid at lunchtime. And then we see situations like this. And you want to say, well, why didn't the school do it? Well, why wasn't the parent up there more than just one meeting a couple of weeks ago with the teacher? Oh, the principal rep.
My dad was infamous for pop-ups. It was like he was Jesus. I never knew when that dude was going to show up. Not only him, the pastor would show up to school. The ladies of the church, they were known. See, you never knew who was going to be in that school that knew you.
Mm-hmm.
And I promise you, I've been caught plenty of times. Remember one time I went to go bust a sag. All I felt was a heel of a shoe. Wham! Right on my 15-year-old butt in front of two girls. And it was one of the women of the church that counts the offering plate. And she said, I know not. Pull up your pants now. And I said, yes, ma'am. She said, we'll discuss this at church tomorrow. And I had to explain to her and my mom and my grandma and the minister why I felt I need to pull down my pants low enough to where young ladies could see my drawers.
I'd love to have that conversation.
Now, the thing about it was, some people will say, well, that's socially going to mess up a child. No. That's called holding a young man accountable. And so we have this issue. And what's going on, Trailer? I'm going to give him the final words. But we have this issue. Whereas I don't mind talking about I got my whoopings. I took my whoopings with a badge of honor. If we can't, I'm sorry, y'all. I get it. He got bullied. He did. Shout out to Larry Reed Live. Y'all can go check him out. But if we cannot hold, and I'm looking at the comments that are in these chats, and these comments are not changing. You want to know who's really upset in our community? A lot of women. A lot of women are upset because they're like, y'all show this boy so much grace, but Micaiah Bryant was being jumped at home in her home by adult women, and y'all said she shouldn't have had a knife. This is not me. This was 6 hours ago. The women in our same community are furious because of this one. But this guy made it out. And he's at home tonight. I can tell you right now, the goalpost for accountability is that this case, I'm telling y'all, when we cannot hold people accountable for what they do.
Yeah, some of y'all need to think about this. Y'all work with Ray. Y'all work with John. They have a hard time at work. So now y'all giving them a free pass that if the co-workers are giving them a hard time, you better be on your P's and Q's at work. Because if John, Ray decide they sick of all the bullying at work and they come up there and start shooting up your workplace, I want y'all to go just as hard and be like, well, I got shot because it wasn't his fault I got shot. I should have helped them stop the bosses and the co-workers from bullying. I'm gonna go that hard.
You gotta
Now,
know, Michelle, but I'm just saying, like, where does the line stop? Because I can promise you, they're going to be assholes at your job. They're going to be assholes at college. There's going to be assholes throughout life.
That's what I was trying to say yesterday.
Go ahead, Trella. You got it.
Now, that's all I was trying to say yesterday, man, is, though I do understand some people's arguments about, there has to be a certain level of fairness when it comes to things. The real truth of the matter is no matter how hard we as parents or community members try to make things fair, even the enforcement of these rules that are supposed to be fair all fall subject to the person that's enforcing them, and they aren't always necessarily fair. You know what I mean?
I'm going to say it to you like this, in all fairness, due process. Every school should go through due process. But I heard that, the parents had been up there 2 weeks ago. I believe it was 2 weeks ago. The day before he had been assaulted. And people keep saying they did nothing. My understanding is the reason he got his behind beat is because the guy that was beating his behind had heard he might get in trouble. The guy that was beating his behind had heard he might be getting in trouble.
Now, I will say that I agree with BMT, though, that there's a certain level of accountability for parents, too. Though, as parents, we can't always check everything. We don't always know everything. When the kids become teenagers and start growing into themselves, they're not always going to tell us everything. But the truth of the matter is a lot of parents, they're pretty much devoid of their children's lives until they do something stupid. They're not there when, during all the rest of their life. Basically giving them the opportunity to, run around the world willy-nilly and do whatever they want. And like BMT was showing you with the school calling him, my son's school. I mean, Christ, even my daughter and my son live in Ohio. Their school, because I'm not there to see their report cards, I have them mail me their report cards to my house in Indiana every 9 weeks. That way I know what their grades are. That way I know what kind of trouble they're getting into. Same with my son, the school he goes to, we get called by the teachers up there. They email us, me and the wife, frequently. We know what's going on. As parents, it's our job to be involved with all the activities that our children are involved in. Granted, we may not be able to be there for all of them, but it's still our job to be there for as many of them as possible and to make ourselves available as much as possible. We brought these kids onto this world. They didn't ask to be here. Our job to steer them in the right direction.
You're so right. But what I need to understand is I think people don't understand what the word accountability means. Okay, so he's at a very...
You know what, Michelle? That kid's statement that you guys read off, that was personal accountability. That kid took accountability for bringing that gun to school. It was his decision. He made that mistake. That's accountability.
No, that's all his parents said. They said he was accountable for taking the gun to school, i.e., we're not liable. We're not liable. He did it himself. We didn't give him the gun. They never said, we're sorry our son shot and hurt people. They never said, we're sorry.
Yeah, that's not... They should equally be sorry because it is their son that went out and did that,
Exactly. And when people say the school needs to be accountable, the school is setting up grievance centers for all the traumatized kids and all the traumatized parents. The school is trying to be accountable to the people that were harmed. It's not just one person that was harmed. It was over 1,700 children at that school that day. They were all traumatized. They were all harmed. Some more than others, one directly in the classroom that saw their fellow classmates get shot. They are terrorized. So again, let's put it in context that you have people saying, oh, he was being harassed. He had his limits. Okay. I heard in his family, they called him little nerd. He could take that. His mama had enough gall to come out of her mouth and say within his family, he was called little nerd. He was harassed by his family. That's not a flattering thing to say. So if
No,
his
because that
family,
probably led to a lot of him being tired and fed up with it. That sounds to me like a lot of his issues were rooted at home.
exactly. So when you sit up there and talk about the accountability of the school, the only thing the school could have done differently in all the idea of due process is to sit up there and yes, they do have teen court, but that takes time to set up.
Well, let's be
When you
realistic,
get
Michelle, about this. The truth of the matter is we have given the schools entirely too much authority over our kids anyhow. And the only thing that they really should be accountable for is teaching our children reading, writing, and arithmetic. That is it.
I believe in history as well, but hey,
Well, I'm just I do too, but I'm just saying that's all they should be there doing. That's supposed to be a learning center.
right. Unfortunately, too many parents look at school as an opportunity for them to go to work and not have to pay for somebody directly to take care of their kid. It's a substitute for, we saw during the coronavirus, there are parents out there, I can't be at home all day teaching my kid. I can't do it. I got to go out there and make some money. There are other parents that are like, we may have to eat chicken every day of the week instead of, ground beef. We got ground turkey instead so that I can homeschool my kid. There are a lot of sacrifices you can make for your kid. I have driven literally an hour, 20 minutes one way, then another 40 minutes another way, and then driven an hour to work so that my kids could have an education. So
Well,
I understand sacrifice.
I'll just add that I think maybe these new talks that are coming into play, where we're seeing about the studies with the effects of kids and social media. Maybe there's something to that. Maybe kids really shouldn't be on that, because there is one thing different than what there was when we were kids. When we were kids, when we got bullied at school, we could actually go home and have a break from it. It went away. Whereas now the shit goes on 24/7 for kids. They can't leave school and get away from it. They go home, they get on their social media, and they're still seeing the same shit constantly over and over and over again. So maybe it's time that we start regulating that shit to where someone who does not have a mature enough mind to be on it shouldn't be on it.
Or maybe parents should, cut the social media off. You can buy a cell phone blocker for your home for personal use as well.
I mean, I'll tell you what. Well, from what I see with social media, my kids that I have living at home with me, none of them will have social media until they're adults and out of my house.
I can understand that. I can honestly understand that. Parents are going, even if this is the deal, even if you don't have cell phones for your kids, when they get to school, guess what? Their friends have cell phones. They find out about the harassment once they get to school. And parents, you got to be proactive. You got to monitor. You got to work with the school and monitor what's being said on social media. For example, the TikTok challenge this month is to knock a teacher upside the head. How do people know that? Because people are monitoring their kids' social media accounts. They're seeing what their friends are saying. It does have some advantages because you can kind of identify some of the cray-cray. But yes, you should monitor your kids' social media. Watch social media with your kid just like you watch TV with your kid. You know what's being said. You know what's being done. You know what their friends are up to. I mean, I got to the point where I had spies all over social media. And what a lot of parents don't realize, the DA's office, at least in my area and a lot of other areas, they actually put fake accounts themselves so they can monitor social media of the kids and find out what's going on. So we have to be ever diligent because there are a lot of ticking time bombs out there. And yes, when you sit there and say the school needs to be accountable.
But we also need to start holding parents accountable for this shit too.
Yeah, it comes down to, yes, the bullies were wrong. Yes, the bullies bullied him, but they didn't send him to the hospital. He sent 3 people to the hospital. Let's look at the totality of the circumstances.
Well, at the end of the day, it all ends up going back to at home anyway, and what parents are paying attention to and what they're not, and how active they are in their children's life. I mean, that's where it really all ends up going back to. Because if the parents were paying enough attention, they would have known that their kid was going to school with a pistol to shoot people up more times than not. Granted, there will be those times where rare occasions where you may not see it. There may not be no signs, no, red flags that there's something wrong with your kids. But more times than not, if you're an active parent and you play an active role in your child's life, you're going to see that something's up and that something ain't right.
I mean, the mom said that he didn't want to get out of bed. He did not want to get out of bed. That's a red flag right there. You said he's
For a
depressed.
teenager, for a teenager, damn right, that's a red flag, especially a teenage male.
Exactly. There are all these red flags, and you have to be the parent. Just like when the kid was little, we were told to baby proof our house, to pay attention when the baby poops, so you know it's time to change them. Well, you know when shit stinks. You know when something is shitty about your kid. Take action. I know with my kid, I have literally taken my oldest child. I'm like, okay, let's get involved with tennis lessons. Where do I need to take you to get a new car? What do I need to do? Talk to me. I don't like this job. Okay, the jobs are plenty. I'll help you get another job. I got friends. You do what you have to do to protect your kid. And parenting does not end when the kid turns 18.
And truth be told, regardless of whether or not this kid was a good kid, all the way up until he shot up a school, the fact still remains he shot up a school.
Ted Bundy had people talking about what a charismatic man he was.
Until he started murdering women.
Exactly.
We can't sit and say that, we can't sit and gloss over the fact that this is a horrendous crime. And you know what? I think maybe a lot of people are having a hard time dealing with it because generally this is a white person thing. These are white kids that usually shoot up schools. You don't hear about black kids doing it.
But we hear about black kids doing drive-bys. This drive-by, so to speak, just happened at a school. The reason why we didn't like drive-bys, because they were a cowardly way of doing things. That instead of taking the time to pinpoint your target, you randomly shot at people. That's never been cool, because that leads to retaliation, and they randomly shoot at your family. So you got people that are sitting up there going, wait a minute, my child was randomly shot at. Where's the sympathy for my child? Don't you think there could be some retaliation behind this? There are parents talking about taking their kids out of that school because they're letting riffraff in. I don't know if the bully was riffraff or not, but again, bullies come. I mean, we all saw 90210, Beverly Hills 90210, or the Bad Girls Club. Just because people have money don't mean they're not bullies.
True.
What I'm saying is that we need to focus our attention on the victims. Can we learn from this lesson? Should all schools have metal detectors now? Should we sit up there? Is that the environment we want our kids to be in? We're going to put metal detectors in the schools because we can't work fast enough to get the bullies out. If this kid said this kid's a bully, forget it. Y'all need to kick that kid out of school, even though you didn't see it happen. You heard about it from one parent.
Even when I was in school, they had alternative schools for that shit.
You guys, so hang on. So we're gonna have to take this into a 3-part tomorrow. We're gonna take this into a 3-part tomorrow. I know me and Michelle already had written up all the stuff that we need to talk about the family dynamic, and what this is gonna lead to. This is something that's pretty much different. So I definitely will hopefully look forward to y'all being there for that type of show. If y'all want to come through, we really greatly appreciate it. I don't know why I'm fumbling. Right now, I have a lot of pressure. Somebody is in my ear, so that's why I'm probably nervous. But We thank you guys for coming through. We much love all the support. You guys definitely are coming and showing out. Y'all did 2.8K yesterday. Give it a round of applause. You guys did that. If y'all like the content, please, y'all can always email us content that y'all would like for us to talk about. That way we can get to writing, discussing, having certain dialogue talks about with me and Michelle. I'm BMT, and that's our attorney, Michelle, as well as we've been joined by Trailerhood, Voodoo Ninja. We'll see you guys later. I have to go. Peace. Y'all